Welcome, folks, to the latest episode of Pubcast. As always, I'm Wayne, and I have these two ghouls with me.
I'm Kim.
I'm Jill.
Happy harvest, because we don't do pagan things here.
You might not, but I totally do.
Oh wait, no, we totally do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the spooky season, and hopefully, I think we're gonna have another podcast, obviously, before Halloween, hopefully, and we will definitely have another episode of Sorcery Shenanigans before Halloween. But yeah, it is the spooky season is finally in full effect, I think, because I think we were being surprised by the fact that it's the global warming effect has kicked in for everyone, and it's like where's the fucking autumn? Only today I'm like, oh yeah, I can put on a woolly hat today and not sweat my hole off. Thank you.
Although this morning I had that moment of it was fucking 4 degrees when I was leaving the gaff, and then by the time I was coming out of the office at lunchtime, it was like 14 degrees. So whatever I used to bundle up this morning, I was sweating this afternoon. So it's still in that weird kind of, is it autumn, is it winter phase at the minute? Yeah. But I'm so glad the 20-something degrees that we had last week. In the last week, I'm like, fuck off, it's October.
It's so weird.
Seriously.
The other thing is, we're 3 sour ass bastards, so it could really be 35 degrees, and we'd be wearing snoods and telling everyone to stop talking about Christmas.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh, you're not allowed to mention the C word in my house until the 1st of December.
Ghouls before you, motherfuckers.
Yeah. So,
in the grand tradition of the season, yes, we are going to. I think there's going to be some horror topics coming up, because there's been some stuff that's actually happened in the last 24 hours that has gotten some traction, even on the podcast social media that I posted. I posted on Facebook, of all things, that there was this back and forth about who was buying the rights to the Halloween franchise, right? Because they went up. So Blumhouse made their movies, they made their trilogy, they made one good film. They made one good film, and then they made. Yeah, I think it's still his mic on her hair or something like that. Or yeah, it's all good.
Sorry.
It's okay. They made one good film, and then they made the 2 sequels, which are shite. But the movie still made millions. So now the franchise was being sold off. So Miramax have picked it up.
Boys, are they still going?
They're still going, even
Despite
Harvey is still locked away for being an absolute scumbag. But Miramax themselves are, like, I think they're linked in with Paramount now, because Paramount have all the rights to all the Scream films, and they were Miramax releases. So yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. But they have bought up, it's a strange one. They bought up the TV rights for the Halloween franchise, but there's another crowd involved with them. I think it begins with a T, and I will mute my phone, and then I will bring up the article because I was reading it earlier on about basically it's on Bloody Disgusting. The website Bloody Disgusting was posting about it, and they kind of confirmed. Everywhere else was like A24 was in the running, which would have been interesting.
They're just going to say that about everybody. A24 are going to get mentioned in any movie article for the most tenuous of reasons, because they're so hot right now.
Yeah, so hot right now. But it's like okay, fair enough. But no, Chris Duck, actually, from the podcast Macabre, good friend of the show, he sent me on the link. So Halloween, Miramax slashes into the TV rights to the franchise. This is on bloodydisgusting.com. And they mentioned that that Miramax's head of global TV, Mark Helwig, is talking about that with Trancast. Apparently Trancast are a group. They're looking at integrated film and TV universe. So movies and TV. And the consensus seems to be from the fan base that drop Michael Myers, bring in an anthology series about Halloween of all different spooky stories set around the idea. Funnily enough, that's what they tried to do. Oh,
sorry.
Who's clicking the button?
Sorry. You were talking, and I was like, what I'm doing doesn't make any difference. Never mind.
Are you looking at what I'm looking at?
Yeah, it's like so our recording feed now has gone all over the gaff because I now have to reset the cameras.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So clearly Jill was not interested in anything we were talking about.
I was listening, but I was like, how can I fucking make this view better for me? And I was like, oh, what are these things? Not used to it. And I'm like, wait, I'll keep talking and I'll listen. And then I'm like, what I do is not going to make any difference to those two jabronis. And no, Skype does not abide by the same rules as Zoom. Why would it do that?
If somebody's currently playing some Jizz in the corner, this is cool. I really like it.
But I went back to the thing that I was doing. Sorry. Jesus.
Hang
on.
This is together mode. I love this.
What is? I can't even see it anymore. I don't know what the fuck I did. Oh, there it is.
Jill is amazing.
Sorry. You changed it. See, I at least put us in a bar.
You did.
Yeah, that's something. That's something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fucking technology. I hate you. Sorry, Wayne. I know I'm a dickhead.
So these things happen.
It's not okay.
So what happened was, folks,
God, that was so funny.
We decided to switch from Zoom recording because they're all of their AI stealing your content algorithmy bullshit.
Yeah.
Noise. So we went back to old faithful Skype, and that's what's happened here. But now I'm readjusting the camera.
Sorry.
So we just sorry. It doesn't matter.
But genuinely,
that was so nice.
but I genuinely thought, I was like, oh, whatever I do won't make any difference to those two.
Temporarily, my brain chemistry just went with it. My body pillow was my girlfriend. I was with you guys. It was amazing.
For anyone who's listening to the podcast, they completely missed that. But everyone's watching us on YouTube, you saw a smorgasbord of technical malarkey going on there. So yeah, oh, brilliant!
And it's all Jill's fault. Anyway, back to Halloween and A24 or not.
Yeah.
Or not.
And
so
the Roy Cinematic Universe, is that what we're looking at, Wayne?
The Roy Cinematic Universe. Yeah, so it's a case of it's funny enough, I'm hoping the fan base is hoping that they're gonna do what they tried to do with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, where they said, right, two movies about Michael Myers done and dusted. That's grand. Let's try something else. But no, the fan base revolted and were like, no, we want more Michael Myers. So then they brought back Michael Myers and then started to try and weave in a couple of different extra bits into the story with the curse, the cult of Thorn, and all these different things. So I think the fans are tired of these type of long-winded franchises that are kind of dragging out the same thing. Like it's if they make another Halloween film with Michael Myers, in total, I think that will be 13 Michael Myers Halloween movies.
Fuck. Yeah, that's a lot.
And how many of them would you certify as fresh, Wayne? 1 and 3?
1 and 3. 2 gets a lot of love, but 2 is actually, if you go back and watch 2,
1 and 3, not 1 in 3.
No,
we're not 3. See, that's the thing. 3 now has a huge following because of just like how different it is, but also Tom Atkins. And it's the first Halloween movie where they pronounce Samhain correctly because they get Dana Hurley to pronounce it, and he's a proper Irishman, so he can say it right. And it's based on the Celtic lore. So they actually talk about how the old ways they used to sacrifice people, and it was Samhain, and they have these standing stones in the movie where they're siphoning energy off. So they gave it a bit of a go. Like they tried to take in the old ideas. So. And the whole idea with the melting masks as well was fantastic. With all the snakes and shit coming out. That was cool. Again, it was so different to what had come before. And funnily enough, go on.
I only watched it because of the Pubcast Halloween special that talked so glowingly about it.
Yeah. No, and like we did, because it's now seen as a cult classic. It found its fan base. It was just back at the time, like Michael Myers, that Halloween franchise at that point. They, like the first one and the second one, at least, like the second one wasn't just a rehash of the first one. It was literally a direct sequel. It went straight on the same night. It just rolled into what happened into the next day, like with Laurie Strode. My issue with the second one is it's more about loud noises than the shape. It's not about the shape and the shadows, and he can be anywhere. In the second one, it turns into he's a menace in the hospital, and he, like, yes, there's some interesting kills, like he boils a nurse in a vat of something. I can't remember what it is, whether it's a sauna or something, but he literally just takes her head first and dunks her in and melts her. But that's where it gets like to that point where it starts to kind of go overboard with the craziness. But I've seen that in the cinema, and it's more about the loud noises in that movie than it is about the kind of the stalking menace that is building and building and building, like the first one. So let's see where Miramax take it, I guess, and see what way they do. I mean, it's a big studio. It's not A24. Well, A24 though have become in themselves a big studio. You know, we'll see where it goes. I mean, what do you like? The Derek, you know, there was we actually got quite a few comments on the post on the Facebook page and the Pubcast page. It's like giving people saying, "Oh, what about this? What about this?" And Derek did say, "Well, I'd like to hear what the Pubcast crew think where they should take it as a franchise." So I mean, I'm for the anthology, based it on bringing some mythology, bring in some kind of individual stories based on Halloween. So, what do you two ladies think?
There's so much ancient lore that hasn't been mined fully, and there's always a take to be had. I think if you have the safety of the name, you can either be hamstrung by it or know that you've got an inbuilt audience and really try something like the third one. But I'm not a creative, and I would not want to be in that chair making those decisions because people are going to get mad. But, you know.
Jill?
Nerds be crazy-o. Halloween is one of those franchises that I'm just like, whatever.
That Jill, first film, Jesus.
Also, I saw a trailer for an alternative A24 project that I'm much more interested in watching. It is called The Iron Claw, and it is starring Jeremy Allen White.
Yes, Carmi.
And Zac Efron, and it is about the wrestling family in was it WCW or WWE at the time? Anyway. Yeah. But I was watching the trailer there the other night, and I'm like, I would watch the shit out of that.
Jill, it's gonna be like
it's gonna be like Niagara Falls as well, but
it's gonna be the most depressing fucking thing in the world. But there's no way I'm not gonna watch it.
Exactly. Also,
but the real story.
You're a mark for Carmi
Jill,
as well.
Your microphone's peaking.
Sorry.
Oh, I am a mark, but that story, like the guy literally threw wave after wave of his own sons at them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Van Eriks? What were they called? So many people are yelling at me right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have no clue. This is one.
Wayne, this story is so sad. Father was a wrestler, and he basically forced all the sons into it. And it was in the days of, oh, are you hurt? Take more steroids. Oh, are you hurt? Take more painkillers.
Yeah.
And they disfigured themselves. They had no spoilers for how many of them live. So Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White are two of the they look incredible. Like they really, the haircuts and the roidy and everything. Yeah, like oh god, it's going to be so fucking miserable, but beautifully made.
But also beautifully made because it's A24. Yeah. But sorry, back to that was a tangent. Back That's to the Halloween franchise. Yeah, I'll probably check in and see what it's all about, but I don't have the attachment to those movies certainly that you have, Wayne, or other fans would have.
And me, Jill, like that film was one of the few scary movies that we were allowed to watch, and I don't know why my mother thought that was fine because I was a babysitter.
Yeah.
at houses where random things could happen, and just the street. It's just the street. Just things are happening on the street, and messages aren't getting out there. And oh god, and the characters, the actors are so, it's unreal. The menace, the sheer menace. I made a Halloween playlist and I put it on last year, and Patrick commanded me to turn the Halloween theme off. It was like 1 p.m. in the bright sunlight. He's like, "Can you turn it off?" Like scary as fuck.
The first Halloween movie I saw was Halloween H2O.
Oh God! So you were immunized to it at that point.
And like I think I watched it with a group of mates, but it was like everybody was like, "Oh, this is going to be terrible." Like, you know, the old ones are better, but we're all going to watch it anyway. And I watched it, and it was like, okay, whatever. And I suppose I never developed the graw that other people have.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's the thing about it is now horror is big money, big money, and like there's been a slew of movies out of Hollywood, you know, in recent years. All the ones produced by James Wan or from the producers of Insidious, from the producers of The Conjuring, and they're generally just run of the mill pap that like don't really tax you much, and the general great unwashed will go see them, and that'll be their Halloween viewing, like, you know. But there have been some really standout horror films in the last couple of years, and I have to say the first
this summer
of
as
the
well.
This was yeah. They seem to have been released kind of at weird points throughout the year. I think it's less and less to do with cinema and more to do with streaming services, or even coming out for festivals as well. Because the horror festivals are back en masse now that like things are opened back up again.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was even the big one. I keep thinking it was last year, but I think it was earlier this year. Could have been April this year. Was Evil Dead Rise, which was it's one of, I can't even remember how many fucking Evil Dead films have there been now? There's been 5, and that's the 5th one in the series, and it was considered to be one of the best, if not standing right up there with Evil Dead 2.
I haven't watched it.
There's also a couple. Just looking at my list here of films that I have lined up to watch this year for Halloween. There's a fuck ton of them. There's one in particular I want to see called Infinity Pool.
Oh yeah, I was reading about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it has Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, who is like it's like Mia Goth is now become, in a very short period of time, has become a full-on new scream queen.
Yes,
with the likes of X and Pearl.
Yeah,
that type of stuff. And Infinity Pool now is another one, and it's like, it's just one of these films I don't really want to say anything about. You just kind of have to go in cold, and I haven't told Ari anything about it. And I'm going to pop it on one of the nights. We'll have a bottle of wine or a bottle or a tree of wine, and we'll just see how. Because I can get her with this movie because I just tell her that Alexander Skarsgård's in it, and she's like, "Grant, lovely," because she thinks she's going to get to see the V. And
she's in the same camp as me when it comes to Alexander Skarsgård.
It's all about the V. So we'll see if he shows the V. Apparently, it's about Infinity Pool, so there's a very good chance he's naked in it at some point. Like there's other ones. Like there was one there. What was it? There's an Alien one out, and it's actually on Disney Plus of all places. But what's it called? It's like there's no one will save you. It's an alien abduction movie, which we haven't had in a very long time. A good old alien abduction film, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all for that. You know, there's another one that's coming out on Shudder on the 27th of October, and I think I saw the trailer for it. What the fuck is the name?
Please say the name of that station again in your Dublin accent.
Shudder.
Shudder.
Oh, it's a complete tangent, right? So Amelia is in school, and she's mixing with all the other kids, and she's picking up little things. And she was in the car there yesterday, and Amelia's very well spoken because look who her mother is, and she'll P's and Q's, T's and Q's, or whatever the hell that phrase is. She pronounces everything.
She minds them, yes.
Full on. In the car yesterday, and she goes, "Oh, look, Mammy, in this book it has a pattern."
I can picture Irene's
face.
Oh my God. A pattern.
God.
Pattern. Has a pattern. And Irene just like turned around and slowly to look at her was like, pattern. 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 Yes, mommy. Pattern. But literally the Dublinese just jumped out of our child.
Pattern.
And it was like
Pattern.
pattern. So yeah. So there you go. So this one that's on, I can't. Apologies. I have to go on to TikTok to find it because I saved it because I've seen the trailer for it and I was like, okay, but I did save it. Now I just need to find where the fuck I saved it to because I'm forever saving things on TikTok now just to remind myself about them later because I've gotten to that stage of life I can't remember shit.
Because we're old.
No, because he's on TikTok.
So there's this. It's gone. I can't find it. I did find this though, and I don't know if you can see it on the thing. It is
a seagull.
Seagull that swallowed the starfish, and it looks like it's from Cthulhu.
It does
because it hasn't eaten the starfish.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Apologies for our audio listeners. You're missing all of this. I can't find it anyway. I don't know where this is. I have to go through my TikTok saves. But anyway, so this horror movie, it's on Shudder on the 27th of October. And oh, hang on, here we go. No, that's not it. It looks like it's something like day. Oh, I can't. It begins with a T, right?
Yeah.
And it's this. The one clip I saw of it. It's fantastic. It's about this. The clip I saw was a young boy's body, a dead child. And it's sitting at a table in the family house eating a breakfast. And it's just, there's no, like, when I seen it's a dead body, it is a full dead body, like, as in it's like decomposed, the works, like, it looks fantastic. But it starts to speak in this, like, wispy voice, like, giving answers to questions and stuff. And just from that clip alone, I was like, I'm in, just all in, give me that. I'll have that. Thanks very much. I'm kind of, and I don't know how you ladies feel about this, but I'm older than both of you. But as the older I get, as I go along in life, I find myself more drawn to spooky horror rather than gory horror.
I was never a massive fan of gory horror anyway, despite the fact that I play Wayne's D&D games. But I never really looked away from the screen with a lot of the gore. I like gore when it's in action.
Sure.
Like the boys and Korean cinema. Just if a person explodes, I want to see body parts. But I am more afraid of being followed around for an evening than just get my head exploded immediately. So should be blessing sometimes. But is it Talk to Me, Wayne? Is it the one that the YouTubers made?
Talk to Me is another one. The movie is called When Evil Lurks. I just found it. In a remote village.
That's a shit title.
It is, but I think it's an English translation. I think so.
No, that explains it.
In a remote village, two brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. So they decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in spreading the chaos.
Is it Fardin, is it?
I think it is. I think it's let me see now. It looks like it is Italian. Let me see. Let me confirm where it's been shot. Does not say. But all the reviews on my horror movie of the year.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything this good since Hereditary. So I mean, it's getting good write-ups, but that's one to look at. So it's called When Evil Lurks. I have that on my list. It's coming up on Shudder on the 27th of October, so just in time for Halloween. And it's up there. But no, the other one, Talk to Me, that's another one that's meant to be very, very good.
Yeah.
So When Evil Lurks, and it's meant to have some nice creepy bits in it.
When Evil Lurks. There's me watching shit like Wendell and Wild the other night for Halloween.
What?
Yeah.
What's that?
Wendell and Wild. It's on Netflix. It's the Jordan Peele animated movie about a kid who becomes a what is the term they give her when she's like she commands demons. And the two demons are voiced by Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yes, please.
And it's very like the animation. Actually, the director is not spooky. What's his face from Nightmare on Elm Street? It's the other guy who directed Nightmare on Elm Street. Not Tim Burton, the other guy.
Wes Craven.
Henry Selick, not Tom Selleck.
Oh, sorry. You mean
Henry
Nightmare
Selick.
Before Christmas?
Yes. What did I say?
I nearly swear you said Nightmare on Elm Street.
I did.
I think she did, but I understood what she was talking.
She knew what I meant. Yes. Yeah. So you're right. It's Henry Selick. And
every time people say Tim Burton directed that movie, I do the eye to it.
Yeah, and it's like it's his name on it. It was Henry did all the hard work.
Yeah.
But it's there are parts of the movie that I'm like, was that just a weird edit? Did I miss something in the story? But overall, it's good crack and it's a bit of a romp. And also, if you like this stylization of A Nightmare Before Christmas, you like Wendell and Wild.
Okay.
Also, the lead is a badass 13-year-old girl, and she's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's on the list of something I want to show Amelia when she's a little bit older.
Yeah, she's just that little bit too young for it, I think.
Yeah.
At the minute,
100%.
Is Pat still too young for Stranger Things? Do you think?
For Stranger Things, yeah.
He's what? He's turning 11.
10, but he's he's a real. Oh no, guys, guess what I did? They love, like, around here, when we talk about fairies, we're not talking about fairy gardens at hotels or forest parks. We're talking about the she. You know, we're talking about
like the proper fae.
Yeah, they're good. The ones that are going to.
They're going to steal the pretty babies and leave a changeling. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Changeling behavior, taking the bride at the wedding, that kind of shit. That's what my kids know.
Shenanigans.
Because I think spooky nations should raise spooky kids. All Japanese kids should be spooky. All Irish kids should be spooky. That's just what I think.
Love it.
So
100%.
When so he loves spooky things.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he was ready for like a Pokemon copy pasta, Pokepasta. Oh my God, he was up all night.
So hang on, explain this to me.
Okay.
Pokemon.
So, not copy pasta, creepypasta.
Creepypasta, yeah.
Creepypasta, internet lies, urban legends on the internet. And
right.
A lot of the Pokemon ones are a kid found a cartridge in the trash and it was for Pokemon Black, but when he put it in, the only name you could have was like you, and all your Pokemon were like on 1 HP and their names were you must run, you will eat this shit.
Oh, okay.
So
Goosebumps shit.
They all brilliant. But
yeah.
I'm like, I think he'd like one of these because they're so fake.
Yeah.
They're just so shit. A kid is gifted Pokemon Fuchsia by his girlfriend. She bought it in a pawn store. They all start like that, right? And then, he's playing this game and he's trying to catch this Mew for like 2 days. And then eventually he looks up and his girlfriend's lying on the floor. And next thing you know, he's arrested. His girlfriend's lying on the floor. And they inspect the Game Boy that he's been playing for 3 days. And it's not turned on and there's no game in it. Oh. Anyway, this shit. So I thought, why am I saying this when my husband's going to hear it? We're going to have a family meeting about this. I'm like, it's 11 o'clock in the day. It's so sunny and bright. and these are so stupid that he'll get a kick out of this.
No.
It was only it was like one. It was like what happened in this one? Oh, every player you beat in the game, like
dies in
the
real life.
Pokemon faints, but the Pokemon dies in this game. But so does the trainer. And then at the end, you meet all the ghosts, and you have to beat all the ghosts of all the. So that's what I said. Oh my God, he was up at night, like, because he's got such a vivid imagination.
Yeah.
That they're so real. Like he's there with the kid taking the game cartridge out of the trash, and I just fucked him up for like 3 days.
He'll be grand.
Look,
yeah,
he'll be fine.
To the social.
I saw Lost Boys when I was 8.
Yeah, look, I'm definitely in the camp of kids need a good scare every now and again. Not to discard them, but to kind of, get the blood pumping. Yeah. With that being said, also in moderation. Like the other day, the new Monster High movie is out, right? Completely harmless, colorful, bright, like it's some good inclusion actually. With me and Amelia had some good conversations about they them pronouns and stuff like that as well afterwards.
Very nice.
And because Frankie in the film is they them, and but at the end of it, one of the characters dies and meets the Grim Reaper. Out of nowhere in this colorful, bright Monster High universe and like there's a bit of darkness in it, but they're all like pastel colored creatures, like, Yes.
Okay.
But all of a sudden one of the characters dies, and standing right behind the character is literally this huge robed vision of death, the skull face and a huge scythe, and they're like, "Come with me," and she's like, "No, I don't want to," and they don't die. And they go back to life, but then at the end of the movie, after credit sequence, death comes for somebody else. And
they're setting up a Final Destination universe.
Monster High universe is all about the fucking death stalks everyone.
Shit, Monster High.
So
wow.
I had this great conversation. Like Amelia's got an amazing imagination as well, but I keep having to remind her what's fantasy, what's real, so on and so forth. Yeah. And we have that conversation all the time.
I just get so pissed off with my parents for doing that. If that's not real, that's not real. But I understand the inclination. You don't like to see your kids pissing and shitting themselves over the
Yeah. But like Amelia has a fantastic imagination that she's telling so many different tales and all these different stories about stuff. And I kind of had to take this moment and say, look, that's not real. It's not real. It's somebody dressed up. It's somebody in a costume. That's special effects, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But we had this great conversation about who the Grim Reaper is, and like, what does he do, and why is he there, and why is he in this film, and why is he going after that character? And she was so invested in it, and it was right before bedtime, so she was just lying in bed going, "So Daddy, if the Grim Reaper comes for anyone, he just swishes his big blade and then they have to go with him." It's like, generally that's what he does, he reaps, but like, it's all fantasy, it's not real. And so on and so forth. She's like, "Grand, so out like a light
for now." But the problem is they come back to you in 2 weeks with like a continue. You think they've forgotten about it, and they come back with like part 3 because they filled in all these gaps themselves. So how did you? I don't even know what the origin of the Grim Reaper is. Like who came up with that originally?
It's a good question, actually. The origin of the Grim Reaper. Let's ask the Google.
Oh.
Live on Pubcast, we're Googling.
So the moniker of the Grim Reaper is a reference to the personification of death, who first appears in English literature in 1847 in The Circle of Human Life. A partial translation of an earlier German devotional text from 1841 that tracks the life of a Christian. So there you go. So it's not from a Terry Pratchett novel, as a lot of us would probably think.
Although that's the best version.
That is, I mean, he does sound like Peter Serafinowicz.
Yeah. Ingmar Bergman disagrees.
Does he?
Yeah. Well, there's the Seventh Seal. That's a pretty cool version of him in that.
There is, yeah. But yeah. So there you go.
So we'll check back in a couple of weeks and see how Vampire Princess Amelia has processed the Grim Reaper and what she thinks.
Yeah.
Rebecca's going as Wednesday for Halloween. And she keeps, I can just see her practicing sometimes, and this is all she does.
I lived up to my vinyl hooer and soundtrack hooer monikers, self-imposed monikers. There the other day, rocked into Tower Records and picked up the score for the Wednesday series because it's great. It's great. Yeah. It's Danny Elfman and also Halloween Moths for Life.
Halloween Moths for Life. They are for life. They're not to be taken. We work very hard and we maintain jail all year round. You don't want anyone swooping in and harvesting her. When
it's a way of life.
It is.
I
want to ask you two hooker bots about something. Wayne, if you've got final thoughts about horror, which you won't, because we'll be back. We'll be back before the end of the Halloween season.
Sorry, do I have final thoughts about anything horror, or
because you weren't finished when I flew in there?
Isn't it?
Okay, well, I'll carry on.
I mean, like just to say, like, that there's a fuck ton of movies out there. Go find them. Don't rely on the tap that has been pushed out through Hollywood alone. And there's always some great independent horror available to find. Shudder, I'll shout. Although AMC was bought out, and they were part of that conglomerate, they still managed to produce some fantastic movies. Another one there called, if you're looking for a comedy horror, Brooklyn 45, which is a supernatural horror comedy about ghosts and stuff. So go check that out. Like there's so many things out there now that it can just wet your whistle. I have gone off the likes of American Horror Story because Ryan Murphy is just driving that thing into the ground. And
the last America, because I stuck with it for a long time because I was mad about that series, and the last one I watched was double feature. There's been a series since with some of the more original crew, like I know what's his face, Zachary Quinto is back for that season, and they were shooting the new one during the strike because fucking Kim Kardashian shit was involved. Fuck that. But it, like, the first 3 seasons are solid. Murder House, Asylum, and Coven are solid. And Coven I'm all about because it's witches in New Orleans and Stevie Nicks and all that good stuff. But there is a very palpable, very real decline after that. I kept going, I persevered. There were parts of some of the later seasons that were good, like Colt had some good bits. Roanoke, the story within the story, I really liked that, you know, because it was the story and the reenactment and all that kind of stuff. But it's just, Ryan, please maybe think about hanging up the L.
Kill your darling.
Well, he does kill his darlings every season, but it's just like maybe kill the show.
It needs to die. I think, like, the fact that as soon as I heard Kim Kardashian was in the new season, I was done. I wasn't going to chime with anything because I just don't see the value of having anyone from that.
No, I don't think I'm overstating it to say that I think she's the death of culture. I will say that I can't play any of the games where they're like, type your name and this into the GIF bar and see what comes up, because I can't do any of that because it's her, isn't it, folks? Which season has Gaga?
Gaga, that is Hotel, which is season 5, I believe.
Hotel wasn't bad.
I liked it. And again, it's the Sarah Paulson is fantastic no matter what season she's in, no matter what character she's given. But and equally, Evan Peters is a fucking fantastic actor as well. Like, the pair of them have carried that show, particularly when the powerhouses have not come back for seasons. The likes of Frances Conroy, Kathy Bates, Angela Bassett, we only got for 1. But they're just like, they're great, but they're not enough. The story, there's not enough meat in the story to kind of keep you interested and to warrant a whole like, some of the story could have been condensed into a handful of episodes. And I've given the the Stories series a go as well. Actually, to be fair, the series was it 1980 something? The one that's based on like 80s flasher movies is a bit of crack. And Billie Lourd is a main character in that, and she's brilliant. She's so like her mum. Oh my God. But she's great in it. Again, like overall, sorry, Ryan, I love you.
I watched that Hollywood show of his. Oh God, it was cat.
Was it? I didn't venture into it. But Pose is amazing.
Like he put an hour and a half. He made it in about an hour and a half. It looked fabulous, but he was obviously making Pose at the same time or something, because Jesus Christ, he threw his arse at it. It was actually kind of embarrassing in spots.
Yeah, Pose is probably one of the best things he's done since maybe the third season of American Horror Story, because that's short, it's condensed.
Even that is getting fairly hokey. Like in season 3, it's getting totes emotion.
Oh, it gets very. So the thing about Pose I found at the end was it was very soap opera-y, and that everyone that could get a happy ending got a happy ending, and we all know.
All know that's not the reality.
That's not the reality. No. Like, you know, I mean,
that's exactly it, Wayne. I was wondering what it was. It was the convergence of all the stuff to make things turn out okay. Yeah. When we know what the body count was. The reality of the AIDS epidemic is particularly in that scene in New York at that time. Yeah, it was way higher. Like, yes, they do hit on the tragedy. Yes, but they can't fucking resist the show tunes. Will you just live in it for a minute, Ryan? I implore you. But like, I get it. Like, you know,
like they condensed all the tragedy into Billy Porter. That was it. They condensed all of the tragedy of the entire story into his character, because he was such a beloved character, and like that resurged his career significantly. That particular series, I felt anyway, because we started watching Pose, and all of a sudden Billy Porter was everywhere, which is fantastic to see. But I think focusing the tragedy through his character, and then everyone else just has literally a happily ever after. Even some of the characters kind of go.
It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been about Pray Tell. It should have been about the house mothers, you know, But look, sure, he's you know, he's very creative, but he has a blank check in Hollywood, so you know things are going to happen sometimes. What was I going to say there? We were talking about Pose, and we're talking about Ryan Murphy. I can't remember. Oh God, guys, I laughed so hard at a tweet yesterday.
Are you allowed to call them tweets anymore?
Are we still reading tweets, are we?
The Congressman George Santos got arrested, and someone posted, "My community, lying gays, are being attacked." And I just laughed so hard. I'm like, congratulations, that's an excellent tweet.
I did see that Tommy Tuberville attacked Joe Biden for not being able to walk down a set of stairs on an airplane, and then he proceeded to tumble and fall ass over tea kettle down the set of stairs on an airplane.
Do you know what I think is the best thing, Wayne? Those two things are the only things that are on Twitter now, so that's good. Pretty sure that's the only topics being discussed. So moving on.
There was, so here's the thing, right? I've seem to have dialed out of a lot of the Disney run shows like Marvel and Star Wars a lot of late. I watched Ahsoka. I watched Ahsoka.
Do you remember I said to you guys, I got a question for you? It was Ahsoka. We'll get to it. But Wayne, are you going to talk about the statement that they made?
The statement that they made about...
Okay, I think you should talk about Ahsoka, and I'm going to pull it up because it's fucking revealing.
Okay, very revealing. I do know... Well, the thing is, I dialed out of the Marvel shows specifically because Secret Invasion can go fuck itself after they used AI to create art for the intro sequence. That can suck a dick.
Even though they said that was on purpose, which I kind of understand. I had partly forgiven them for that because they wanted it to look shit and like an imposter. And I'm like, okay, you cunts. And then they threw that story at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not.
I think I remember now what you're talking about. I think that's that's kind of what I'm getting to in a weird way. I think I am. So I haven't watched Loki season 2 yet, even though I adored season 1. I actually loved season 1 of Loki. I thought it was very well done. But an article came out about how Disney have managed their Marvel shows of late, and the reason why they all feel so shit is because they weren't filming pilots.
Yeah.
They were filming it all as one piece and then dividing it up into pieces.
Yeah.
And they were using reshoots and rewrites on set to piece together the pieces that didn't make sense. So they were doing it like,
oh God.
They weren't hiring like producers, they weren't hiring showrunners. So the last show that had a showrunner was She-Hulk.
That makes sense. There was an actual vision in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So She-Hulk was the last one that had a thing, but anything after that, there was nothing. Like I don't know whether I'm trying to remember, did the Falcon and Winter Soldier have a showrunner? I don't know. But I think if it's the article that you're looking at there, Kim, I think they might have listed a few things. But Secret Invasion was just slowly but surely put together over the space of it wasn't filmed like a TV show.
Everything. That explains everything. It was the muddiest, directionless thing. And what a great premise. Literally none of these people might be who you think they are. None of them. Nobody there might be who, oh, you're going to just show me in the mirror beforehand? Oh.
Yeah.
Fuck your mistake. Like, fuck your childlike wonder. No, look in the mirror, look. Okay, now start the scene. It was insulting. It was actually insulting. And and I tried, bro. I tried to be I tried to stay in, because a lot of people worked hard on those comics. A lot of people worked hard on those characters, and it's nice when they get a shot. And who knows, it could be the next Andor. Everything I watch now, I'm like, this could be the next Andor. But I was one episode in, and I'm like, oh no, this is for fools. I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm going to go watch Poirot again. But thank you. Thank you for doing this. Imagine thinking showrunner was an optional title. Wow. Why don't you take the wheel, folks?
Yeah, it really does speak to the reasoning. Like, it adds more fuel to the fire of the whole strike thing, and the writer's strike, the actor's strike, that is still ongoing. Like
still on with the actors, yeah.
The actors are still doing it. Like, so it's the writers have come to an agreement, but the actors are still going. They thought they had an agreement, and then they got it thrown back in their face, and it all fell apart. So, like, while it seems to have on social media, the news cycle has reverted to something else, it's still there, and. It's like seeing this now with it's coming out with these revelations saying, oh, we're going to approach our shows now differently because we tried it this one way that was literally just like, let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and then add more crap as it goes. Now they're kind of going, you know what, we need showrunners. We need writers' rooms. We need to have people with proper input into these things. We can't just, put some crap together and hope it works. And I think, I don't know, it speaks to kind of the state of it. I think they were trying to, I don't know whether they were trying to do. It's not even guerrilla filmmaking. It's like it was just bad.
That suggests vibrancy and liveliness.
And it was spontaneity.
It was leaden, and it was like you get to the point in Bake Off or Glow Up where something's going awry, and you have a fucking choice. You either make a new sponge. Or wipe that shit off and start again with a cream-based powder. Or you keep building up your buttercream, or you keep going with the watercolor and just keep adding more. And you're like, you know what you should have done half an hour ago, and now you can't. And now everyone on the internet is talking about how they'd rather drill out their eyes than watch your fucking... I was trying to think of an example of a show I could throw in there, and I'm like, I'm so checked out, I couldn't even name one. I fell off Loki. I really enjoyed the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then they were really making me look at 2 people sitting on a bench with fake sky behind them for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, lads, I can't. I have things on. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just going to watch that Drew Gooden video where he joins Kids Bop again. You know, why not? Don't bore me. Don't bore me. You can't bore me. I saw Aisling B. I'm undiagnosed, folks, with any sort of attention disorder. But anyone who's been at the Pubcast Christmas party could probably draw their own conclusions. But I am being assessed. So we'll see. But Aisling B was talking about attention deficit disorder, and she says, boredom feels like grief. Like you're like, I need to remove myself from this feeling. I need to do something. I can't stay here in this. And so thanks for causing that feeling, Marvel and Star Wars. For dicks. Just wasting all the graphic artists' time so they can big up your fucking shit cake or your bad beat and pass it off as oh my god, I really went on one there, sorry. Anyway, yeah, they're fucking tedious, and I can't believe they've invented showrunners. So thanks for that, folks. Thanks for that. That's great. Boolabus. Can we give them a boolabus, the boys who discover the showrunners are important? God. Oh my god.
I think it's across the board. They found that they realized, we need this, and we need a showrunner, we need a writer's room. It's important because for the longest time they were trying to get rid of writers' rooms. They were like being kind of pushed out of the system.
Yeah.
And that was one of the major reasonings behind the writers going on strike, was the fact that they had a writing, I think we talked about this on Pubcast in the past, they had a writing budget, but they were like, no, you can't hire a writer's room. Hire 2 writers and then bring in a load of new bodies, pay them fuck all, and have them rewrite your ideas and all that type of shit. Like, so the way they were handling it was all over the gaff. So
the other thing is, one of the other terms, Wayne, is the biggest part of your career is when you've proved yourself in the writer's room and you're a senior writer. And then they're like, okay, well, we need a couple of writers on set in case just a line isn't working or it's just not coming out of the actor right or whatever. So they have a couple of writers on set doing changes on the go or giving the actors advice on how that's supposed to come off and stuff like that. That shit is the stuff that sends your career into the stratosphere. Once you're working on set, you're like, oh, why did I write that they had to come in to a pharmacy loaded with bottles with white things in? The fucking prop master's going to have my fucking arse. So they get an insight into
the mechanics.
The mechanics of what they've written. And they might write differently from then on. And then they start becoming, from that experience, they end up being showrunners and directors and things like that. And they were being stopped because once they got onto set, they cost more. They were just like, no, stay there. We'll take it from here. And so the project is going to suffer. Because, I mean, you know, God bless those people who realized that Chan Andler Bong could come out with a better line than what they'd written and going for it, you know. And, you know, we all reap the benefits there. So, like, yeah, they were just... Guys, I'm going to say it. I think capitalism isn't really working out. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's... Yeah, I think you're going to have to try something new.
They're going to have to...
It happens. We all turn into socialists as we get older.
No, we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to be like, I don't know, yelling at brown people in the pub. You know, it's just the way capitalism has just failed so catastrophically. They've even the old fucks like, oh, sorry, not you, Joe. Anyway, are we're like, oh no, I think we're gonna have to march on Stalingrad. Like, this is bad. You know, we're supposed to be getting more right wing because we're richer. We're supposed to be getting richer. Anyway,
Jesus, somebody lost that memo. Fuck's sake. No, like, so, I mean, as myself and Jill have said, we've watched Ahsoka, and I think this is the first Star Wars show that has come along, where there was required watching beforehand to get any of it.
I think it's I definitely think so, because I agree, and I've watched. I've seen all of Clone Wars and Rebels, and it was funny myself and Liam are currently working our way through Clone Wars. We're on season 3. No, season 4. So Ventress is no longer Dooku's apprentice. She's gone back off to join the Dathomir sisters. That there's all other side missions happening. The father, the son, and the daughter have appeared, and we'll talk about that.
The Mortis gods.
And it is the return of Darth Maul has been foreshadowed, but he's going to pop up at the end of the series. And I've watched all of it, voiced by the wonderful, stupid, sexy Sam Winters.
Whitworth. Did Peter
even
not get that gig again?
But yeah, I do. Sorry. Rebels I watched all of as well, and I do think that people who hadn't watched either, particularly if you haven't watched either, if it's Clone Wars, you have some context. But if you haven't watched either, it must be a very different viewing experience watching Ahsoka. So I felt, and you've watched all them as well, so we had the advantage going in. We knew a lot of the history, and I don't know, like Ahsoka was introduced in the Clone Wars, and I kind of fell in love with Snips, and I was very excited to see a live action Ahsoka, especially one played by Rosario Dawson.
Yes,
I've loved her since Josie and the Pussycats.
The patron saint of bisexual women.
Nerdy bisexual women, because she's genuinely a giant nerd, and apparently she was a fan of the Ahsoka character before she got cast. Right. So I was very excited at the prospect of seeing her in live action because I had the prior knowledge. So I had the investment before I had even seen it. And from watching comments made by friends and acquaintances on social media over the run of Ahsoka, like it's been quite a Marmite show for some people.
Yeah.
Like people have either loved it or referred to it as Star Wars, because there's a lot of looking off into the distance, and Rye looks at people, but Ahsoka makes those looks in the cartoon.
1 second,
she gets them from Anakin.
Bros, are you invested in Rosario Dawson?
He has 2 eyes and a heart, Kim.
2 eyes and a penis.
Yes. So yeah, just checking. You know, who knew how that answer was going to come? But because guys, all I saw was clips posted.
Yeah.
And the clips were never posted going, look how good this is. You know, I was getting a very skewed view. I was going, well, that looks like shit. Very, very static and very uninteresting fight scenes. But I know that they were being, like, the worst things were being posted. So I don't have anything to offset that. But yeah, I saw a lot of hate for it. But
what did you think, Wayne?
I really liked it. I have to say, I thought there was some really interesting. See, here's the thing, right? I think this is the series Dave Filoni has been waiting years to make. I think this is the end of the story he's been trying to tell for donkeys. So it's the amalgamation of Clone Wars, the amalgamation of Rebels. Like, this is now the heart of the lore of Star Wars. There is more lore in Filoni's run, in everything he's done, Star Wars related, than there is in anything Lucas has done on screen. So, like, if you know your Star Wars from Filoni's work, I've known Star Wars all my life, and Filoni's put more lore into Star Wars than anyone else.
Yes, a lot has been added.
He was given the guidebook by Lucas, and the lightsaber was passed to him for sure. But the whole thing, the one key thing that's now been seen in live action now that's teased for season 2 of Ahsoka is the Mortis gods.
Yeah.
Now, Kim, you've seen Star Wars.
Definitely season 2?
Yeah, there will be. They're going to make a season 2 of it. Like, people have watched this show. It has the numbers.
Yeah.
But Kim, you've seen Star Wars. You've been to Star Wars conventions. You've seen the movies. But if I say the Mortis
Clone
gods
Wars,
to
never
you,
saw Rebels.
Sure, but if I say the Mortis gods to you, do they sound like anything from Star Wars?
No, sound like something from what's your friend Neil Gaiman?
Like, sure.
My personal friend.
Yeah, your mate.
Like that's the thing, and they are a huge part of Filoni's lore. They are three, almost four central characters within his lore that is talking about the source of the Force, where the Force comes from, and it explains it. It explains it much better than any of the fucking midichlorian bullshit ever would.
Yeah, I was going to say it didn't end well the last time someone tried to define it. But
this is proper lore.
Sorry, Wayne, you just mentioned episode 1. It wasn't me. So could you step off and do your, do I have to get the union involved? It's my department. Bringing up episode 1 out of fucking nowhere is my job. So
I don't have the midichlorians for it, do I?
No. Anyway, go on. So yes, okay. So there's a source.
Yeah.
If you've watched if you watched the Clone Wars, if you watched what he did in the Clone Wars, what he did in Rebels, like the whole core of this is literally it's following on from the finale of Rebels, and following Ahsoka's story. And I actually think partially as well, it's season 2 is going to be a large redemption arc for Anakin Skywalker. Because they're gonna, we can talk about spoilers here if we want to. I don't know if we want to talk about spoilers. If we want to say spoilers for people who are listening and watching.
Well, spoilers just in case.
Don't know how to tell you this, but he turns out mad bad. He's got a big dress now.
But this is the thing that I loved about the cartoon, and I'm rediscovering watching it with Liam, is that Anakin's journey to becoming Darth Vader seems very condensed and quick in the movies, and it's something that Filoni explores, and there's this constant conflict with Anakin, and he has the responsibility of his apprentice Ahsoka, and what she picks up from him, and the expectation and the weight that's put upon him in the storyline in the show, being the chosen one, like all of that you don't know if you've only seen the movies, and it makes him a much more interesting character and a much deeper character. And also, I think Hayden Christensen didn't deserve the flack that he got.
Direction, the poor fucker.
Yeah, and it makes Anakin is much more interesting when you take into consideration the animated universe as well.
Yeah, and taking the animated universe into consideration, seeing what they do in Ahsoka with Anakin, because again, spoilers, Anakin shows up in the show. Hayden Christensen is back in the role. We get to see a flashback with a young Ahsoka and Anakin in the Clone Wars, and
with his outfit from the fucking cartoon, it's amazing.
With his outfit from the cartoon,
I got so excited. I had a big nerd off.
That's the reaction that people that have seen Filoni's work in the past with what he's done with these characters. Yeah. When that happened, there's shots in that moment and it's literally there's just like this fog condensed planetoid, and there's clone troopers, like Clone Wars clone troopers with the visors and the fins, and they're running, and you see Rex. Rex is there in live action, and like these are all characters from the Clone Wars cartoon. And I'm looking at Kim's face going,
yeah.
But again, if you're a Star Wars nerd and you know these characters, when seeing that on your screen at home, watching it in live action is a huge thing. But we know
this. Yeah, we know this, and getting the balance between fan service seems like the wrong term, but making your project accessible to people who haven't done homework is important but hard.
But I don't think this series is for those people.
They have no interest in opening that.
I don't think Filoni has.
Andor is for those people. Yeah. Those people can have Andor. Let us have Ahsoka.
This is for the fans that have watched the shows consistently since they first arrived. Since we first got the Clone Wars cartoon. This is for them. And I think people that have not seen those,
Yeah, I'm a bugger. So when the Clone Wars came out, I'm just trying to get the timeline. It was on, wasn't it on Disney XD, or was that later?
Yeah, right. No, it was on I'm trying to remember where it was. So I only swear.
Although I really want to call it Disney.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I get it. I think the Clone Wars was on television at some point when we were living together.
Yeah, I think I was in college when it started. It went on for a while, didn't it?
Well, there was the now non-canonical 2D animated Clone Wars, which is probably close to 20 years old at this stage.
Is that not what you've been talking about?
No, well, this is the 3D show that started with the movie, and I want to say maybe it's at least 10 years old.
The movie? Holy!
So there's
a feature-length animated movie, and then the show. Sorry.
Okay, grand. Okay,
yeah, it's animated. Yeah. So, and the weird thing about the Clone Wars cartoon is that it was released out of order.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that's also.
You actually have to get it collectively all together. And there's a watch guide online to teach you how to show you how to watch it in the correct order.
I probably should have done that with Liam. We've been just watching it on Disney Plus. That makes sense.
Today we learned.
Yeah. Because some of the episodes jump all over the gaff.
They do.
And you're kind of going, what? But and it's I don't know why they did it that way, but there's actually a view order you're meant to watch them in. And it is when you watch them in the view order, it's like yes, and it does obviously it does have its bad moments. It's not all top tier shit, but when it's good, it's the best Star Wars you'll ever see. And when they start bringing in like Maul and his brother and all those other storylines that are linked in with Dathomir, the sisters, and when Darth Maul when he finds Kenobi at the end. And it's like he goes to Tatooine, he finds an old Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he faces off against him. And it's like one of the most emotional. Yeah, it's one of the most emotional scenes. Oh, I can't remember the voice actor's name, but it's not you.
Oh, it's the cartoon. Okay.
It's the cartoon. Okay. So it's like it's just this really. It's an iconic scene. It's like for Star Wars nerds, it's a huge iconic scene of the death of Darth Maul, and how basically Obi-Wan takes him out like that. Like he's like Obi-Wan's a master at that point, and Darth Maul is still filled with anger, and he goes to
and half machine
with anger. He chopped up his teacher. He's the wrong one.
No, Obi-Wan. Oh, literally, it's two strokes of the lightsaber, and he's done. And then he just turns somebody, and he asks him about Luke, and he goes, "Will he bring balance?" And Obi-Wan just goes, "Yep," and then Maul dies. It's so sad. Like it's an unbelievably tragic storyline about Maul's continual failure over and over again of trying to get to where he wants to get to, and it just completely fails all the time. And he just keeps getting pushed back by people, and but there's some amazing moments with him and other characters where he navigates his way through like Ezra, who's a character in the Ahsoka show, but it started in Rebels, and Kanan Jarrus, and all these other characters that Maul meets, and how he weaves himself into their story. And how Filoni wove that story, and also how he brings back in Rebels, he brings into the current Star Wars universe a character from the Timothy Zahn books, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who, like for me, was like I read those books when they first came out in 1997. They were they started the resurgence in Star Wars.
Yeah,
those 3 books. The Heir to the Empire trilogy started the resurgence in Star Wars after the final re-release of George Lucas's movies. Those books came out and everyone lapped them up. They were like, we haven't had new Star Wars in so long. And these were licensed by Lucasfilm, so they were like legitimate. And it was the beginning of the expanded universe. So the villain in that was Grand Admiral Thrawn. Filoni took that character and took him out of that story, which then at that point, once Disney bought Star Wars, that became non-canonical. Yeah. It's canon, but that became non-canonical. But he took that character and put him into the canonical universe. He's that good of a character. So he came back in Rebels, and we got to see an animated version of him. And now Ahsoka,
voiced by Lars Mikkelsen. Lars, isn't it? Mads' brother. Yeah. And like his very distinctive voice, and forever he'll be Thrawn to me. But the fact that they cast him, and he looks phenomenal as Thrawn. He's amazing.
The character design
quietly intimidating.
It's such a waste to have a character that looked so fucking shit cool, and what they did with him. So I'm glad he had a whole extended life out in the country. On the farm upstate.
the fact that like in the cartoon, and they have the expanded story about Dathomir and where Maul came from, and obviously, as you mentioned, his brother and stuff. That because I'm a spooky bitch, I loved that part of the series, and seeing Claudia Black as the lead Dathomir witch in Ahsoka, I was like, oh my God!
I did not know it was Claudia Black at all. I was like,
oh wow!
I didn't cop it until I saw after it was done. I saw pictures and I saw like it's her birthday today or yesterday or something.
Is it? Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Claudia Black!
And somebody put up a picture of the Night Sister, and then they put up Claudia Black, and I was like, no. So yeah, look, I get why people wouldn't like Ahsoka, but I don't think the show was made for them.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I don't mind things being more tailored. Yeah, you know, it's nice to have a vision. Let's talk about the real Star Wars tragedies. Okay. Speaking of things that are no longer canonical, I made a reference to it earlier because I reference it almost every day of my life. The music style played in the cantina has been called Jizz for a very, very, very long time. Wayne, did you see the attempt at retconning that?
No.
They renamed it. I want to just check. They renamed it. How dare you? And it's something. Yeah, Jatz. Jatz. So it's still a play on jazz, but one without any cajones. Yeah, it's called Jatz now.
Isn't it shite?
So who's going to tell Max Rebo? Who's gonna?
So it was figuring down in the modal nodes where the Mos Eisley Cantina band.
Oh no, I've skipped on. I'm in Jedi now.
You're in Jabba's palace now at this point.
Yeah, I am with Max Rebo.
I'm more of a figuring down man myself, but I think
you were a figuring down man. So funny.
I think I might have seen something in this half-arsedly on social media at some point where somebody tried to talk about this, but then the comments were just filled with like, sure, nobody cares about this. I bet you can't even name the band in the scene in Mos Eisley.
Excuse yourself.
And I was straight in there. Now, the dude was partially right because nobody was naming the band. But I straight in was like, fucking figured down in the model nodes, motherfucker, don't start this shit.
Yeah, don't start this. Or I'll get the werewolf on you. The werewolf that's back there. The other thing is, figuring down. Oh shit! What is the other thing? She came flying in, lads. Yeah, that got no play, but I think it's because other people haven't been referencing the music style Jizz as frequently as I have. I went to search for that just while you were talking about Ahsoka. I said I'll just because I couldn't remember.
Did you Google Jizz? That must have been dangerous.
Wait. I was trying to find the new word, but yeah, I did kind of Google Jizz, and unfortunately, I'm logged in here on my college login, so they're like,
"Hope your safe search is on."
No, I'm not looking up that Star Wars thing that you're talking about. So maybe that's why they did it, so people could talk about.
Because even if you try to Google Star Wars Jizz, you're not going to find.
Yeah.
Dear Lord. But no, I mean, Jill, some of your favorite bits in the Ahsoka show.
Some of my favorite bits. Ahsoka and Sabine sparring, or her teaching Sabine. Shit, you've put me on the spot. Can I just say, like, on the one hand, Ray Stevenson was phenomenal in Ahsoka, and he is dearly missed by everybody involved in the show and anybody who's been a fan of his. Titus Pullo forever. But the way they have set up that character with stuff from the cartoon and the lore, it would be, while I he was so good. Balin Skull, wasn't that the character's name?
Balin Skull, yeah.
Balin Skull. While he was phenomenal as that character, it would be a shame if they don't recast and continue with what they have seeded for that character.
Yes, 100%.
And I don't envy the casting director, because them some big shoes to fill. But he was brilliant, and his apprentice is also very good.
Shin Hati.
I also want one of them horseback dog things that they were riding around the planet on.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're so weird. They've got this weird elongated bat face, but they're the size of a small horse, and they also make kind of doggy noises.
Yeah, they're kind of they're like giant dire wolves or something with long snouts that like they ride around on.
And real ugly.
Yeah.
Shit. What else? Favorite moments in the show. What about you? What were your favorite moments?
I loved that you know what's really weird? Everyone keeps giving out about the long stares off into the distance and the kind of the pauses. I loved that there were quiet moments in this show.
Yeah.
I loved that the characters got to breathe.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like we got like Balin Skull is probably my favorite character in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a damn shame Stevenson's gone. Like, I mean, he'll be missed, tragically missed, because the gravitas he gave to that role, like straight away, he's such a big man, such a broad man.
Yeah.
And to see him, even his apprentice was a very diminutive young woman. Like she was nifty. Like he was like brute force. He was big. His lightsaber strikes were just strong and deliberate. Like he literally.
His fight against Ahsoka mid-series is brilliant.
Unreal. And like, but like to see that juxtaposition of those two characters as him being the big, large, imposing, but also extremely gentle. Like as somebody who's meant to be a dark side user, his manner, and he wasn't a shouty, he wasn't angry. He was just
he's dark side, he's not Sith.
No. But he's
like the thing.
His purpose is just like he's focused on a purpose. And that's it. He just doesn't believe in the Jedi way anymore because it failed him. Like he was there for the cleansing, he was there for Order 66, and he saw the failure of the Jedi Order. So he believed, right, well, that way of life didn't work. I'm now going to turn to this. And he's essentially a Jedi mercenary, but or a Force user mercenary. But it's the calm moments of that character where he's just like brooding. And you know what's funny? I don't know, and maybe when I say it, it'll seem like a very obvious comparison. But to me, it was Batman and Robin. That's what him and his apprentice were. It was Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Because he had that kind of brooding, broad-shouldered, like he's like the Dark Knight Returns Batman. And he had his female cohort and female ward who was eager and wanted to be out there doing everything like now and fixing every problem now. And he was like, no.
Yeah. He's so restrained. Yeah.
Like very restrained. And it was just, and the way he, like Sabine comes into it, and the Ahsoka Sabine relationship is very much a juxtaposition of that because of how Ahsoka was like very reluctant to train her, but she was eager to get to Ezra and wanted to find any way to do that and eager to move. And I think that again, it was the light. I think it's the whole, like, there's always two. So you have the dark side representation, then you have the light side representation, because Ahsoka obviously goes full Gandalf towards the end of the season and goes from Ahsoka the Grey to Ahsoka the White.
Is her relationship with Sabine gay in any way? I need it for my studies.
No,
it isn't, because it's more of if it's a master and apprentice, there's no kind of leaning that way. So,
okay. I'll put it on my chart.
Yeah, and like I just think I don't see the problems with the long breaks and the silent moments, because it gave not everything was urgent. They weren't rushing anything. They weren't forcing a story on you, which I think other Star Wars shows, they felt that pace wasn't given. And I think over the episodes that we got, the story was well written and well drawn out to a degree that it wasn't too drawn out. And it wasn't that I was wishing for it to get to another point. I was happy to exist in the moment that was happening in front of me on screen. And that hasn't happened in a show for Star Wars for me in a very long time.
That's great.
A very long time. So I think that for me was my favorite thing about the show, was that they didn't push things. Parts of it were extremely obvious, and plot points were extremely obvious where it was going to go. But I didn't mind, because I didn't mind the journey to get to that point, because I enjoyed the characters that they had on the screen. So yeah, I just felt, and overall, I think about the designs of the new stormtroopers.
Also, David Tennant bot.
That's Huang. That's a Huang.
Tennant's Huang. He doesn't have a serial number. Has an actual name.
No,
and he is
Huyang.
Super old.
Yeah, because he was a droid that trained Jedi back in the old order, the old days.
Yeah, back in the day,
before the dark times, before the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, look, the IMDb rating of Ahsoka right now is 7.8 out of 10, and I think,
that's better. Like a lot of shows, the people who didn't like it were very vocal.
Yeah.
More so than the people who did. I was surprised. I was watching you guys in real time talking about it and enjoying it. I'm like, oh, that's good. Everything I just saw looked very staid. Looked very... it looked like a green screen, people standing there in costumes that didn't seem to be that interesting. But I kind of knew it wasn't for me.
And it ended well. It ended on the final episode of the season. Ended at a point where you're kind of going, I want to see where this story goes. It's not like there's moments, like I've watched shows where, like, I couldn't be arsed and be like, oh, whatever, that's one season, I'm done. I might tune in for season 2 if I'm bothered. But Ahsoka, as soon as episode 1 of season 2 comes out, I'll be watching it the day it drops.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think Disney have a lot to make up for. I think for most part now, a lot of the shows that they've done with Star Wars, they've been more missed than hit. Like season 1 of Mandalorian was good.
That dropped off.
Book of Boba Fett. No, that was just a waste of a character, multiple characters, and it just ended up being Mando season 2 point. Oh, with the 2.5.
2.5.
What's your rating for Obi-Wan?
See, me and Jill differ on this, and I didn't like Obi-Wan at all. I thought it was garbage, but I know Jill.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Why was that, Jill?
I actually, and this I think this is possibly the point that myself and Wayne particularly disagree on. You didn't like how you felt that it wasn't the kick-ass Obi-Wan that we know, like the Jedi Master, can take a dozen droids down with one swoop. He seemed quite weak and what have you in this series, whereas I liked the fact that they kind of treated it like he had post-traumatic stress disorder, and that from what he had seen, what he experienced, what happened with Anakin, all of that had such an impact on him that it drove how he behaved and the choices that he made in the series. I actually, having watched Ahsoka now and really enjoyed that, and Andor since watching Obi-Wan, I kind of want to go back and rewatch it and see, like, do I still agree that I enjoyed it, or will it be garbage up against those two?
Yeah. No, I just found the pacing to be extremely off on it. I just think it was, well, I liked the drawn out moments in Ahsoka because it let those characters breathe, because they were new to me. Some like, not obviously not all, but some of the ones that were new in the show, I felt, yes, let's give these characters time to grow. Whereas at Obi-Wan, these are all characters, bar maybe a small handful, these are characters that we all knew. These are brand new characters. They weren't brand new characters. They were old characters that we all knew, for the most part, played by actors that we all knew as well.
Yeah.
And particularly with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. And I just felt that they just wasted it. They wasted having him back as the character, because we're never going to get that again. He's not coming back as the character. That's it. They've bridged that gap.
They blew it.
There's nothing else that's going to come after that. But I think they wasted it on a plot that they took too long to get to anywhere where he seemed viable. And they upped the return of Anakin and Darth Vader as being a big thing, and their fight being a big thing, and I felt it so weak sauce. There is a fan edit of the series that I have that has been edited into a 2 hour and change movie.
Oh,
that is meant to be fantastic. It's meant to be that they've cut down all of the chaff and they've put it in as they've kind of condensed it to a degree where it makes more sense, pacing wise and story wise, and there's less faffing about, because they didn't. I think with me with Obi-Wan, and I'm trying to remember it now because I've actually forgotten about a lot of it. They focused too much on trying to figure out who the bad guy was early on. There was all these different inquisitors that were milling about the gaff, and again, if you had seen the shows previous, the animated shows, stuff that involved the inquisitors, you knew that storyline. You kind of knew, well, that person's not dead, so why try to use that as a crutch for a bit of drama? It doesn't make sense. And like it just didn't feel right. I think the storytelling was just off ever so slightly for me, and it just kind of, I could sense where it was wrong, and I just didn't like it. And I felt that they completely wasted Ewan McGregor. They kind of made very much, and I get the whole PTSD thing, 100% get that, but I just think for the show that it was, for what people as a fan base were expecting to get,
for what they could have done,
what they could have done, and then just right at the end.
That's a big crime, to waste an actor. And I find that very hard to justify. But how many times did he say hello there?
I can't remember. I don't know. Honestly don't know.
Not good enough, Wayne. It's not good enough.
But that's the lack of impact it had. Like, I will say that the young girl that they had playing the young Leia was fun.
She was brilliant.
Yeah, she was fun. She was one of the highlights of the show. She was good, very well cast. I just think, and then just that final scene. I just felt hollow. I just felt very hollow about the whole thing. I just didn't get that swell of feeling that I used to get when it came to Star Wars' emotional moments. You know, I got more emotion out of Ahmed Best returning for that one little glimpse in The Mandalorian season 3 than I got out of the entirety of the Obi-Wan show. Which is like,
right.
Obi-Wan's my favorite Jedi. Why don't I feel? Maybe that's it though. Maybe that's why I didn't like it, because he is my
Obi-Wan Kenobi, although he did, he had his own challenges. He didn't in real life get bullied for about 10 years, so he didn't need the same redemption as
maybe
did. Oh my God, the way they treated him, the way they treated Jake Lloyd. I think there's a new circle of hell for people. And the Monica Lewinsky people are in there too.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think Star Wars fandom as a whole, early on,
the racists had a field day with Obi-Wan as well. They're mad at that, and
yes,
to the point where Ewan McGregor had to come out and go, "Can you knock it the fuck off, please?"
Yeah, but like the Star Wars fan base has a huge level of toxic behavior. Huge, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, as early as the late 90s, when it came to the Phantom Menace with Ahmed Best and Jar Jar Binks, and Jake Lloyd, all that type of stuff. It's this weird childish entitlement that we've spoken about so many times on Pubcast. And Star Wars and a couple of other fandoms is rife with it, because they think
do you think it's the fandoms where if you have a question, they answer it? So you're like, how did he get there? How did he lose the blade? They're like, they will provide companion pieces, extended universes, like anything like Doctor Who or Star Wars that has spin-offs, canonical novels, blah 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 blah. They can get so over familiar that they're like, talking to another human being and saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They'll turn around to like the person who actually played Padme and go, you don't know anything about Star Wars. And like, is it because they have done, is it like when people walk up to a podcaster and say something ridiculously personal because they've listened to them so much that they've built up this parasocial relationship with it? And they're like, I know you so well, I can talk to you any way I want. I feel like anything where you're provided with that amount of detail, you can get really in the weeds with things and then really outrageous. Now, I'll tell you something. I am off-putting, and it's not on purpose, especially about some of my specialist subjects. I'll be at a party with people I've never met, and I talk to a friend of a friend for the first time, and we'll just be talking about something, and they'll go, "Oh, do you like Drag Race?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, yes!" We'll start talking about Drag Race. I guarantee you, I will alienate that person in 3 sentences.
You do.
I go too far, and I've heard it. I've heard myself do it, and I'm like, "Don't do that the next time. Just say, oh yes, I like Bianca Del Rio. She is funny." Like, just fucking dial it back. Dial it back. Nobody's reading the subreddit. Get out of there. Just pretend.
Just blow this thing and go home, kid.
Yeah, forget about Figure and Dan. You don't know what Figure and Dan is. Just call him Cocknose. Just, who cares?
That's Max Rebo.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe I just did that again. Well, no. Well, Figure and Dan is... Yeah, no, it's more of a ball. Like it's more of a ball. Yeah, more of a ball. Yeah. So, like, I've done it. I will do it again. I will do it about things. And these people have my sympathy, but they really go off. In online spaces, they really go off. And it's unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that is part of it. It's the over familiarization with the sense of entitlement and the sense that, like, I know these characters better than anyone. I've lived my life with these characters, so on and so forth. And it's injecting your own personal kind of id into that space and thinking that you know it and it's yours.
Injecting your own jizz, Wayne.
Yeah. Don't inject your own jizz.
That's normal.
What did you say the other name for it was now?
Jatz.
Jatz.
Yeah, don't inject jizz, inject Jatz. That's just what you want to do.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a soft relaunch as well. It was really snuck out there as just a general. I think it was like something from the parks that put it out there, and I'm like, excuse you, how very dare you take one of the most fun things about Star Wars away from me? Yeah, what a great That's got to be one of the top 10 pub quiz questions in the world. It's just, how dare you? Have you no decency, man?
It's disgraceful. Carry on altogether. Yeah, Jesus. I mean, we could switch gears on this and go from Star Wars to Star Trek if you want.
Y'all have been watching Brave New Worlds. Is that what you're talking about?
Strange New
Lower
Worlds.
Decks.
Strange New Worlds. And Lower Decks.
I don't know whether we've talked about Strange New Worlds on Pubcast yet, because they had a whole season of it that was just joyous. Filled with glee.
You've definitely talked about it. You've definitely talked about it, but I don't know up to what point you've talked about it.
And Lower Decks as well is like currently in its 4th season, and it's continually excellent. But I think we should maybe save that for another episode where the story, the whole Lower Decks season is done and dusted. And after so much talk of Star Wars, having just a small conversation about Trek, I think seems a bit unbalanced and unfair. Because I'm finding myself in my older age, maybe I'm not becoming more right-wing, but I'm definitely more of a Trek fan than a Star Wars fan in my older age. Because
I started to Trek.
I'm not campaigning for communism. I just want a Trek-based society.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Just the annual rewatch of all the Trek shows, I think, has become definitely for me. I know, Jill, you probably doing it as well.
I don't do it annually, but I did Hoover through DS9 earlier on the year. It was funny because Liam started a rewatch and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll do that too. and I finished it months ago. And he is on what, season 4, season 5? I'm trying to think the last episode. Kira was pregnant with O'Brien's baby recently, so that far in.
Oh, okay.
God, imagine trying to get that head out.
Yeah.
Big Irish head in him. How do you know he's Irish? The big Irish head in him.
Yeah. Big mallet.
It is like Colin Meaney has a conquer.
It's a good one. Good one.
There's a fantastic meme of somebody has turned Colin Meaney's head into a minion. So, but it's just his head.
I've seen it. Yeah, a minion.
It's just his head and a pair of dungareens and the goggles on his head. It's just him with arms.
Dungareens.
It's just his head. It's like, it's unreal. I have to find this, but it's like, it's scary, but also accurate.
Yeah.
Here we go. Focus. It's too bright on the screen. They can't see it.
Your screen's too good.
There we go.
Well, lads, you want to see Wayne's phone? It's the fucking most advanced technology I've seen. It's been a long time since a phone has made me go, wow. Not since the 2000s, not since when they were trying to compete for design, not since they were trying to make them into a stick or trying to make them into
that's when phones were fun back then. I worked in mobile technology back then. I worked for O2, and the phones back then were fun to sell. Back then were fun to sell. They really, really were. They were so wacky and weird. And like you said, there was ones that looked like slick lipstick, and there was ones that like flipped around. But they're starting. This phone in particular, it, for me, is very much a fun phone now. It's an expensive fun phone, but fun because I've reskinned it to look like the pad designs from Trek, and of course it does this as well. So it's like,
oh my god,
so yeah,
so
it's like it is a Star Trek phone, literally.
Yeah.
But I'm a nerd. What can I say? Folks, this has been a Pubcast. We're over an hour and a half in, so let's wrap it up. It's been loads of fun to talk shite about stuff.
Good luck getting a thumbnail that I'll approve of, Wayne, because I was like...
You were just doing this, we all just go down like this.
Guys, did you see... Sorry, I know you're saying goodbye already, but did you see my present?
What's this?
This is my birthday present from Braz, and it's musical. Now, when it's working, it plays the treasure chest sting from Legend of Zelda, and it's manga.
Oh wow!
It's so
for folks that aren't watching this on video, Kim has a pretty box.
She does.
Yeah. It's a Legend of Zelda box filled with Legend of Zelda manga, which is amazing.
So lovely.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's backwards and all.
Yeah, my fella like that when he's down next month.
Oh yeah.
Give him an old shufty at your box.
We have to talk about that. But talk about
cool.
that. Anyway.
Right, folks. This is
sorry, I just let the phrase having a shufty at your box just go right over my head. I'm losing it.
You're losing it. Completely losing it.
Anyway.
I've been Wayne.
I've been Kim.
I've been Jill.
Till next time, folks. Have a good one. See you later.